Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center and I'm here with Michael with his movie Desert Shores. Let's take a look at the clip. Thank you so much for being here today. Congratulations on your film. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us the brief synopsis of Desert Shores.
Desert Shores is about Brian. He's a working class guy living in a small desert community in California, and he recently has a job offer to move to DC. He'd be managing a bigger trucking company, and it would mean that him and his family would have to move across the country and uproot their lives. And the kind of complications and things that hold them back start to put a strain on their relationship, and eventually they plan to take a kind of weekend trip to the Salton Sea to kind of rekindle things. And the Salton Sea is another small desert town out there, but it's got a really wild history, and the film kind of shows the decay that the Salton Sea went through, and kind of parallels that with what their relationship is facing.
It's amazing. I really was so. You just kind of got me very closely to these characters in this film. I don't know, the way you shot it, it was very intimate. I could almost feel the pain that each of them were going through and what they were going through, and follow them on their journey as well. I must admit, I was so surprised when I met you. I was like, this guy must have done about 30 features, and here it is, you're just about to graduate, and this is amazing because you're doing so many amazing things so early, and such a mature film for someone so young as well. Now, you took this inspiration from an existing story, so tell us a bit more about how you was inspired to create this particular film.
Yeah, the Salton Sea is a place that I found as pretty much as soon as I moved out here, just kind of exploring the surrounding area, and I just thought it was such a wild landscape. And I was doing research about it at home, and I came across a collection of short stories by an author named George McCormick called Salton Sea. And they just kind of used that, everything that landscape had to offer in a really beautiful way, and really the landscape was the main character of the book. I think it opens with a quote that all forms of landscape are autobiographical, and I think that really speaks to the characters, because they are so ingrained in their lives there, and moving across this other side of the country is a very frightening thing for them.
Yeah, no, of course, and I mean, obviously I love that quote you just said, because this movie was just a beautiful, picturesque movie. Your director of photography just captured the most incredible shots. But before we sort of go into more of the technical sides, your cast were fantastic, and I really love the story about how you created how you actually got to bring in your leading actor, because it's always amazing when you can bring in someone that you've actually watched over the years. So tell us a bit more about your casting process.
Yeah, the lead who plays Brian, Joel Bissonnette, he's someone who I had grown up seeing in a number of Canadian independent films, and someone who I really looked forward to the films that he was in, and when we first conceived of the film, it started much smaller, just us friends doing a film out in the summer, but we kept kind of meeting the right people, and we were lucky enough to kind of scale up the project enough that we could reach out to Joel.
Yeah.
And he was just obviously my first pick because of what I'd seen him in,
and the rest of your cast. I mean, even from like the younger character that you had in there as well. It was such a great scene. I mean, I was so surprised to see this little young character smoking. Like, it was like a kind of but such a powerful scene as well. How do you, like, as a director, like, how do you go? What's your process in working with your actors? Are you kind of very hands-on? Do you kind of let them just kind of like float away in their script? How do you kind of work as a director?
Yeah, I think on a film like this, casting is really your best friend, because we were shooting, I think at the most we shot 13 pages one day.
Wow, that's a lot of pages.
Yeah,
jeez.
because the whole shoot was 12 days.
Did the whole shoot in 12 days?
Yeah, with one pickup,
goodness.
so it was more like 13 days.
Wow. I want to work on your set. That's like a feature every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and so there really wasn't a lot of time to try things multiple ways, and the actors had to really do a lot of that work very quickly, and it was really about just picking people that had the right energy for the characters and were going to be excited about a shoot like that, because it was very intense. I think that the day that we did the 13 pages was the motel day, and it was some very heavy emotional stuff that they were dealing with, and bouncing back and forth between some very different emotions, and I mean, it wasn't scheduled. Couldn't afford to, schedule around that kind of luxury.
You got to just keep going as well.
Yeah.
Both your, interior and exterior, environments were just amazing. Like, I mean, I could just watch your film all day just for all the detail that you had in both inside and outside. How was that process for you, and kind of like trying to find the locations? I mean, was there any challenges that you had kind of in those areas? Like, both with like how like with so like if it's inside when you're kind of shooting in the motel, obviously that kind of features challenges, but also when you're shooting outside in these big picturesque spaces, like how is there any difficulties in those areas really?
Yeah, I mean, the film was very much written around many trips to the Salton Sea and discovering new places and meeting new people, and then taking a piece of that and putting it into the script. And I probably took like 10 weekend trips out there and just tried to meet people, and I think a lot of that becomes the texture that brings it to life.
Yeah, definitely.
And with those locations, it was because the Salton Sea is such a fascinating place. It's a man-made lake that in the 1950s became a big tourist destination. Frank Sinatra was there, the Beach Boys. It was like a Palm Springs destination. But then, because of pollution and runoff from the agriculture and natural sulfur, all the fish started dying in the tens of thousands.
Wow.
It let off a horrible smell, and all those hotels and restaurants went bankrupt
so sad,
over
isn't
just
it?
a couple of years.
Wow.
And a lot of that just got left out there to just kind of decay and really be forgotten about. So
you put some light on this area as well, which is great credit to you. I think also as well, like you're making a feature film, which is a big undertaking to make as well. But there's so many elements that I would say, from everything for direct photography to wonderful acting, this really great story. But one of the things I love about your film as well, you had a fantastic score. And you've got a great story about how you discovered your composer, because you really do, these songs really do make you feel what is going on in the particular scene, and has such a strong element to that as well. So how did you find your great score, your composer?
Yeah, so the composer's a man named Daniel McClure. He was actually my history professor at a number of classes I took at Chapman University, and you know, we would just talk after class, and when he found out I did film, he shared a number of his songs with me, and they were just very much what we were already kind of thinking and feeling about the film. They were very messy and textured and rough kind
of they look great
songs, but they also had a very traditional kind of country and you know, very emotional.
They did. Very emotional
feeling to them. So it's
because they connect so much with what's going on in each particular scene, which I really loved as well. Now, as I say, this is an undertaking. You've made this feature, and how long in the process was the whole feature that you made from start to finish?
It was about 3.5 to 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, I started writing it in my freshman year of university and shot it the summer of my sophomore year.
I love it.
And
now you're about to graduate.
Now I've graduated I already graduated in May, and now it's just coming out to festivals.
It's amazing. I love that, because what is that journey like then, of, you know, making it in your freshman year? It's the journey of taking it to the festivals, having it in NewFilmmakers LA, having it in front of an audience. What is that feeling like for you as a filmmaker?
It's been a really wonderful journey. I mean, it's been a very difficult journey. I mean, it felt at a lot of times that the film was going to fall apart, or I wasn't going to graduate, but you know, just kept meeting the right people, and people that were excited about the project and that wanted to make a passion project out of it themselves. And through those people and learning from them and what they had to offer, you know, I of course learned more making this than I did in a classroom. So it was just a wonderful experience.
I think one thing that was nice is that obviously people that I've met, last night, the Q&A, for example, they all obviously love working with you, so that obviously is a good thing, that you're obviously great to work with, because you have these amazing people working with you, so that's always a good sign for the future. But what is next for you?
Next, I'm directing a film in Mississippi.
Oh, nice.
With my co-writer of a number of short films that I've done, and we're going out there with half the budget that we had for Salton Sea, and
do it.
It's going to be just as hot and humid.
Yep.
But that's, you know, it worked for us this time.
Exactly.
So.
They have trust in you. Don't you worry. I think it's honestly, I'm so amazed that you've done all of this. In fact, our head of program was like, "Can you believe he's only done 22? Like, this is ridiculous. It's amazing." For any, you know, filmmaker, particularly maybe people that are, you know, either a student or about to graduate or recent graduates, but in particular, what advice do you have, or maybe that you can offer to anyone that would like to follow in your footsteps, Michael?
You know, no one's going to greenlight you but yourself, and I think it's about just meeting people that are also really anxious to do something, really excited about you know, creating art, and just holding on to it as hard as you can. And it's an incredibly bumpy road, but if you just don't let go of it, you know, you can get there. And definitely, you know, use the resources that you have, you know, around you. We filmed in a lot of abandoned locations, didn't pay any money for them, you know, worked with a lot of friends who it was their passion project too, and you know, weren't making a lot of money, and just believed in the film and the end product.
And you did it. And you made it, and everyone's getting to see it, and you're taking it to all over the place. So, listen, thank you very much for your film. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing much more of your work, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's a place, everybody.